I would say, first of all, my first interaction with my patient, to me, it's no different than if I'm welcoming a friend into my home. I want people to feel at home here. I want them to feel safe. So my first interaction is greeting my patient in the lobby, and it's usually, greeting them by first name. Hey, Mark, thank you for coming in today. Thanks for choosing ORS. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be that formal, but just a simple welcome and a thank you for coming, I think goes a long way. I think that's refreshing for patients when they come in, especially to a healthcare facility. They're not usually expecting that type of a welcome, and I think it kind of breaks the ice and kind of makes them feel like they're in a safe place. So making them, make sure they feel like they're at home and they're part of the ORS family. No different than if someone walks in my front door and I'm inviting them into my house. This is our home. This is our family, so invite them in that way. So really, for a physical therapist, it all starts with depending on what they're here for. So I'm going to go through a very thorough history. We don't gloss over our histories at orthopedic rehab. We're not trying to rush people in and out as fast as possible. We're going to take time that first day to get to know our patients. Of course, get to know their injury and the history of their injury, but get to know about them, what they do as people, what their family's like, what their hobbies and their recreational things are, because the more we understand about what they have to get back to, the more we understand what their goals are going to be for therapy. So I think it starts by building that rapport and really listening to patients and giving them time to get to know them. Start building that relationship with a good subjective history. And then, of course, you're going to explain to them that we're going to go through a series of tests and measures and things that are going to help us determine exactly what's wrong with you so that we can develop a game plan to get you well, so that they understand that you're going to put them through, again, a thorough evaluation. Make sure that, if anything, on day one, that they know that we have taken the time to really get to understand the root of their problem. And then by the end, to be able to say, here's my findings. This is what it's going to mean for our game plan for getting you well. Based on my findings, these are the things we need to focus on. This is how long it's going to take. I like to lay out the whole length of the plan of care, how I foresee it going. So it's not just today we're going to do this, but it's, hey, the first thing we need to accomplish in most cases is we're going to improve mobility. We're going to get you moving better. We're going to control your pain. We're going to really have to get that calmed down before we can get to the next phase of treatment. So I usually talk them through kind of a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, what that's going to look like. Early treatments, maybe shorter and more focused on movement and pain management, so that we can get to phase 2, which is to build up a foundation of strength and fitness, so that we can get to a phase 3, which is building on sport or recreation specific, work specific tasks, functional tasks that are going to get them to their goals. And I think the more you talk to people through that whole process, so they understand that this is something where every visit has value and every phase of the progress has value, they're going to be more likely to buy into that and go, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Then, you get a few visits in, and if they're struggling and getting frustrated that things aren't going faster, you can remind them, hey, remember how we talked about this is going to take a while. We talked about how it was going to take 4 to 6 weeks depending on your level. And hey, are you doing that home program? That's an important piece of it. Are you avoiding the exacerbating activities that we talked about? And remind them of the process and get them to trust the process. And if you've explained that really well from day one, they're going to buy in. They're going to know their appointment is important. They're going to have value in coming in. And there's going to be no surprises along the way. I think in general, a common objection that patients have is they have this little bit of fear of, what's this going to cost me? What's my copay going to be? Do I have deductible? And so when you start talking about how many visits you're going to see somebody for, immediately they turn from not what's ideal in my rehab, but they're coming into how's that going to affect my pocketbook. So that's a real concern for patients. And I think the way that I handle those type of concerns is I kind of try to take the money away from it for a discussion on what it takes to get you better first. And I can say, I understand there could be some other concerns. I understand, there could be some monetary concerns, and we can talk about this. But before we talk about that, I just want to talk about what ideally it's going to take to get you better. And usually I talk to people about something very specific. I foresee us needing to see you 3 times a week for the first couple of weeks in a lot of cases, because we need to get through this pain. We need to get through this phase 1. I believe once we get through that, and we get through that first couple of weeks, I think we can taper back to twice a week. And then, further, we could probably even discuss maybe getting to the point where we're just doing weekly follow-ups. And I think if the patient understands that this isn't just, okay, 3 times a week, every week for 6 weeks, and they start doing the math, if they understand that there's a plan of how that's going to go, they start to buy in on, oh yeah, I probably could do 3 times a week for a couple weeks. It lets them know that we're constantly assessing the situation. I tell them, this is how I think it'll go, but we're going to be reassessing every visit you come in. We're going to be reassessing every week for sure. And if we are doing great, we can talk about tapering back earlier. If we're not quite getting there like we think we do, we think we're going to, we can talk about, if the frequency still needs to be a little bit higher to a certain degree. But I think they need to know we're constantly assessing what's in front of us, we're constantly assessing the situation. We're not just going through the motions of a list of exercises, but we're really monitoring and assessing every visit, their progress, and we're going to adjust their program accordingly. And I think people, they feel safer, and I think they are more likely to commit if they realize, hey, if I work really hard at this for a little bit of time and I make really good progress, I might not have to be in therapy as long. I can really focus on getting better, and then not have to worry that it's going to drag on time and time again, or more and more visits and that kind of thing.
And it puts the emphasis back on the treatment and less on the payment or the cost.
Absolutely.
The cost of it.
Let's focus on my professional opinion of what I think you need to get better.
Nice.
Let's buy into understanding that. And then if people are still like, I just can't do that, then I can have the conversation too of, I understand we all have our challenges, and if that's the case, there's some options we can talk about, but just understand the more we deviate from this ideal plan, the chances of you having the best outcome are going to be less. Your chances of achieving that are going to be less, and that will lead to frustration on your part if we don't achieve our goal. So let's focus on getting well, and if we need to make payment plans, if we need to talk about that kind of thing, we can certainly do that. Anything that makes them feel a little bit safer about it. But our treatment and our expertise have value, and we need to display that value to our patients. And just like anybody providing a service, we shouldn't feel apologetic that our services have value, and that, yeah, it's going to cost them some money, but it's going to be well worth it, and they're going to get a good outcome in the end. And I have a lot of success with patients. I don't get a lot of resistance if it's presented in that way, and most patients understanding and being willing to go through with the treatment. So, as we're getting deeper into treatment, the question was, how do we make sure we're prepping a patient for discharge and what that's going to look like, or maybe extending therapy beyond what we had originally planned in the plan of care. As I'm treating a patient, I'm always looking, when I open up the patient's chart, I'm always looking at what visit are we on, what visit number, and also like what's the script expiration date. So I'm always keeping those things in mind every time I open a patient chart. To me, it's as important as most anything that I look at in the chart, because I want to know, where are they on their journey? How many visits have they had? Are they on visit 2 and I'm seeing them myself for the first time because they saw somebody else? Or have they been here 8 or 9 visits and they haven't had a reeval yet? And I want to start looking at what is their endpoint. So one, I want to do a reevaluation, in that range. We're talking about doing reevals every 8th visit across the board for patients. And the point of that is that we can start having the conversation of, okay, let's review the plan of care we said at the beginning. Let's talk about your goals. Let's really focus in on where we're at, really do a more thorough reevaluation at that point, and start talking about what the end looks like. If the patient's progressing really well as we expect, and we think that they're going to be done at the end of the plan of care that we had originally set, and it's going smoothly, we can have that conversation. Remember how we talked about this was going to be a 4-week thing or a 6-week thing. We're a week and a half away from that. How many visits do you have left on the schedule? In these last few visits, we're getting into this phase 3. I want to progress your exercises to include X, Y, and Z. I want to maybe update your home exercise program so that when we get to the end of this, I'll expect that you'll be ready and confident that you're ready to manage this on your own. So we can talk them through that. And then they know in those last visits that they're prepping up for that discharge. And you can start having difficult discussions with the patients who maybe are a little nervous about discharge. We have those patients who kind of feel like we're breaking up with them, or, gosh, am I just going to get worse if I don't have access to this care I've been receiving? And you can start having the conversations of our goals of them being independent, managing their condition, before that last day that they show up and all of a sudden they're, what? Oh, today's my last day? You mean I can't come anymore? And they kind of get that apprehension and that fear, and it kind of feels a little scary to some people. But if we start that process earlier, they know it's coming. They're ready to go. They're going to say, thank you so much. They're going to be able to focus on writing that review and everything because of the outcome they got. So starting to talk about that early, really throughout the whole course of treatment, but especially being intentional about it when we're getting, a week or so away or deeper into the treatment, I think is important. Also, at that point, if you're doing that reevaluation and they're only scheduled maybe another week or so, and that was going to be your initial plan of care, if we're not reaching the goals that we wanted, it gives you that opportunity to ask why. Are we doing the right things? Do we need to take a shift in our treatment approach? Do they just simply need more time due to some complications or some slow healing or whatever? And again, you can use that opportunity to start prepping that patient for, hey, we've got another week worth of treatments on the books. I feel like we're a little behind on things. These are the things we still need to accomplish. So you're talking about what discharge looks like. But it seems like it's taken us a little longer to get there. I think I'm going to need to ask your doctor for a little bit more time or ask your insurance company for some more visits. Again, allows us to have that conversation, create those expectations, and let them know why we think they need more treatment. Is another thing that ends therapy sometimes is that insurance authorization. If we talk about ideally, I think this is what you need for treatment, but you've got a restrictive insurance that's only going to authorize, let's say 8 visits or something, and then you do a reevaluation and you say, gosh, they really need 3 or 4 more weeks, and then you get 2 visits and going towards discharge. And that's another common thing that's a challenge, I think, for therapists. And well, they're not really ready to be done, but their insurance isn't going to pay for more, so I've got to discharge them early, and our goals aren't met, and that's not great for outcomes. We need to have the confidence to say to that patient, I do believe ideally you need more therapy. Your insurance contract really isn't going to allow you to do more that they pay for. It doesn't mean we have to stop therapy. If we have a script from the doctor, if we have a plan of care that's been approved that says they need more skilled care, there are other options. We should have the confidence to have the conversation that just because your insurance company isn't going to pay, that doesn't mean we can't keep doing therapy. We just need to talk about self-pay options. We do have self-pay options. You can do cash pay. We cap it at $100 a visit. If the patient is still valuing the treatment, they need to know they have the option to continue. Give them the chance to make the decision that they can afford that. So I've had several patients that take us up on that. Gosh, I do. I need you to stretch me. I need that manual stretching on my stiff shoulder. I feel like I need more. Yeah, I'm willing to pay, a couple of visits a week for a few more weeks to make sure that I get where I need to be. Give the patient the opportunity. Sometimes they don't realize. They're just like, oh, my insurance won't pay. I have to be done. That's not always the case. Yeah, as you know, making sure we have an online presence of good reviews, that when people are looking for therapy, they can come and see our 5-star reviews and see what patients are saying. That is super impactful on why people choose what therapy they go to. So getting online reviews from our satisfied patients is crucial. We have to be able to leverage our biggest fans, which is our patients that know what a great job we do with them, to be able to talk about that online out in the community. It used to be word of mouth was the big thing, and now it's better that it's word of mouth, it's word of Google. So we have to be asking for reviews. We have to be asking people for referrals. We can't be afraid to say our business really relies on referrals from great patients like you, to have success and to continue to be here offering these services. So when a patient is satisfied with their treatment, we should be absolutely asking them and being proactive about asking them to do us a favor to get a Google review. Best way I do that is really throughout treatment at any point. If they're mentioning what a great team we have, what great care they're getting, I'm going to say, oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you're having such a great experience. Would you be willing to do me a favor? It would mean a lot to me if you could go ahead and take a couple minutes to give us a Google review. And I explained to them how important that is to a small business, and that's how people find us. And if people see your story online, they're more likely to find us and come in and get help. I also let them know, I had a patient the other day who had been a repeat patient and a year ago gave us a review. Oh gosh, I gave you a review last year. Do you want me to give you another one? And I said, yes, that would be fantastic, because people don't always want to look and see the reviews of how good you were a year ago. They want to know right now, in this moment in time, is the team that's there doing a great job. So I said, yeah, that would be awesome. It would mean a lot for those reasons. Explain it to her, and she gave us a really nice 5-star review. And so, really being proactive about letting them that how important it is to us, and these people that we've built a relationship that we've helped, they have had a great experience. If we've done all these great things for them and we ask them a favor to just take a couple minutes to share your experience online, a lot of them are willing to do it. You're going to run into some that don't. They're going to have excuses about, maybe they don't have a computer or they're not familiar with it. But we're going to get a lot of reviews if we just ask. And I walk them up to the front QR code. I ask them, hey, do you have a Gmail account? If they do, great. Click on this QR code, go to Google. No, you don't have Google. Do you have Facebook? Do you use Yelp? Whatever. I even had a patient that said, I don't use any of that stuff, but I want to give you a review. How can I do that? And so I led them to contact us on our website and just said, hey, you could leave us one on our website. I'd be happy to let you do it that way. It's not going to go to Google or whatever, but any opportunity for somebody who wants to share their experience, I'm going to try to find a way that they can share it in some capacity. So again, if we're doing that all the time, it shouldn't be a hard thing to ask for. I look at our Google reviews a lot, and some of our clinics are really good at getting consistent reviews week to week, and clinics that haven't been open very long that have a lot of great Google reviews and pretty high numbers. And I see other clinics that have been around a long, long time with high volume of patients. They're being very successful, but they aren't getting a lot of Google reviews. So we need to be doing that across the board, because it's going to really take things to the next level when people can find us in that way. From the first time they call our call center to when they walk in our clinic till when they end, we are a customer service focused healthcare company, and every step of the way, they should have the best experience, and they should value that experience. So how do we do that? It's greeting them into our home, welcoming them in a warm way, thanking them for coming. I think that's a huge thing. We don't say thank you enough, just simply for showing up. I say it to my patients all the time. Hey, thanks for coming in this morning. I'm so glad you're here to work on getting better. And it sounds kind of corny, but I've gotten to the point where I can just say those things and it doesn't come off corny. I truly, and it is because it's genuine. I truly thank them for coming in and choosing to use orthopedic rehab. So I want them to feel that every step of the way. Also gaining value in their treatment and their outcomes is that constant assessment. It's that constant intentionality of where are we at in the plan we talked about and discussed that we made clear on day one. Are we progressing to our goals? Are we not? Are we within the plan of care that we expected, and are we going to be expecting discharge? Are we going to need a little bit more time? Communicating that every step of the way. Again, so there's no surprises. So patients know exactly what to expect. So patients know exactly the rationale behind what they're doing with all these silly exercises. And also, when we're constantly talking to them about that, when they go back to their doctor, they're going to share that experience because they understand what they did. And they're going to say, that was really great. They took me from here to here to here, just like they said they would. Wrapping it up at the end with, I hope you had a good experience. Was this a good experience for you? And usually it's, oh yeah, everybody was great. This has been really a great experience. Oh, great. I'm glad you felt that way. Get the review. Ask them for the favor. Make sure they don't have any questions on their at-home exercise program. And then, the last step is, if you ever need us again, we're here for you. If you ever feel like things regress, again, you're letting them feel safe, letting them know they're invited back into your home. It'll be easy for us to get you going again if you ever feel you need our services again. Sure. And oh, by the way, if you run into anybody that you think would value from the type of things you see us do here, here's some referral cards. Can you please let people know we're here? That's basically it. Please don't be afraid to share our story, and share it with your friends that we're here, and send people our way when, your family, friends, whatever, when they need us. I oftentimes, talking about thank yous, I tell them, man, your doctor, if it was a surgery, they did a great surgery on you, you had a great outcome. So when you go back and follow up with your surgeon, make sure you thank them for that great care because you're doing outstanding. Make sure you thank that family doctor for sending you to therapy. You know, sometimes patients feel they're being pushed out the door and, I'm not sure I can help you, go here, and they think they're being pushed off. And I let them know, thank your physician when you get back. Thank them for sending you to therapy because that was the right decision. He made the right decision for your care and you got better. And imagine when patients are coming back saying, hey, my therapist told me I should really thank you because I did great and you did the right thing. What's that going to do for their loyalty to us and referring patients back? You know, those are the big picture things that if we're doing those things fluidly and it's genuine, and it is genuine, it's just going to pay dividends down the road over and over and over again.